Hello, today we are going to be talking about building poetry skills. So the important thing about poetry skills is, as we're talking about it as a classroom, is that we all have the same vocabulary. So it's going to be super cool, you're going to be happy, on time, and it's going to be outdoor play and learning that we're going to be talking about. So there's three types of poems specifically. There's rhyming poems, acrostic, and haiku. So rhyming pretty much is what you would expect. But within rhyming, there are lines which are called a stanza. So they're a group of lines. So here I've given you an example of a group of lines that identify rhyming. So we have, again to the child I whispered, the snow that husheth all, darling the merciful Father, alone can make it fall. On the sheet of paper that you have in front of you, I'd like you to put number 1 and write down for me the 2 words that rhyme in this stanza. So the group of lines, we show that there's 4 lines. There's 2 words that rhyme. See if you can identify them. I'll give you a minute. Okay, let's go on. So rhyming, what is a quatrain? Previously I said there were 4 lines in that stanza. So a quatrain is 4. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. We all know the Spanish counting at least to 5. So cuatro, it's a quatrain. There's 4 lines in each stanza. So a poem may have 5 stanzas, but in each of those stanzas, there's going to be 4 lines. So again, if we look at that passage that we just read earlier, and again to the child I whispered, the snow that husheth all, darling the merciful Father, alone can make it fall. You can see there's distinctly 4 lines. And hopefully, what you had done for the number 1 I had asked you, you had circled the appropriate words that rhyme. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, there's 4 lines in each stanza. Now this is the key point. We look at the last words in lines 2 and line 4, and they must rhyme. So, on your piece of paper on number 1, I asked you to circle the words that rhymed. Hopefully what you circled was the word all and the word fall. So if we look at this stanza again, and again to the child I whispered, the snow that husheth all, that's the second line, and it's the last word, darling the merciful Father, alone can make it fall. Fall, again, is your last word, and it rhymes with all. So it's in your 4th line of the stanza. So that is what a quatrain is. There's 2 criteria to make a quatrain. 1 is that it has 4 lines, and the second criteria is that the 2nd and the 4th line last words rhyme, as in this case, all and fall. So just review it again. 4 lines. There again. And again to the child I whispered. So what I'd like you to do now is, in the book, on the following pages, there's 4 different poets. These are what we call the fireside poets. They're some of my favorite poets. And they're the poets that are pictured to the right on the sheet here. And there I've given you the page numbers from the book. I'd like you to go through and identify which one of these poets uses the quatrain in their poetry. So you can pause the screencast at this point and go ahead and do that activity, and then come back and we can continue on. All right, welcome back. So we are going to go on to an acrostic poem. So let's look at this word, acrostic. So you can see the word across is pretty much in the word acrostic. Across is a little different. Oftentimes when we think of across, we think of going from left to right, as you read, on a line, across. An acrostic poem doesn't necessarily have to be from left to right. It is when you take a word and create a poem from the letters of the word. They can go diagonally, they can go up and down, similar to the poem that we saw when we first started this. So I'm going to give you a simple one. For instance, bed. I just am using the word bed. But I'm not going to do it across, I'm going to do it up and down. B, E, D. So let's see what I'm going to have B stand for. B, building dreams of which to achieve. E, everything seems possible from prone position. We know prone position is lying down. So when you're dreaming, everything seems possible. I could fly to the moon. I could win a horseback race. I could do a number of things. And then here we go, D. So dare I attempt to achieve my dream? So once I wake up, do I dare to achieve it? This is the criteria for an acrostic poem. I have my beginning letters on the left-hand side. They spell something independent. As you can see, this particular one spelled bed. And then I gave example of what I would be doing in bed. I'm dreaming. And then dare I live up to that dream once I awake. So I want you to take a minute now. I want you to create your own acrostic poem. And be ready to share it with your peers. So go ahead and think about yourself. And as you can see, mine was real simple, just 3 letters. I want you to write your poem down and be prepared to share it with a peer. So I'll give you about 3 to 5 minutes to take care of that, and then come on back. All right, welcome back. Last one we're going to be looking at is a haiku. I'm sure you've all done haikus when you were probably 3rd, 4th grade, but you may not have known what the criteria is of a haiku. So we're going to look at that. So first, it's a Japanese poem. It has 17 syllables, but the syllables are broken up in a specific way. So what is a haiku poem? It is 3 lines. The first line is 5 syllables. The second line is 7 syllables. And the third line is 5 syllables. So it's 5, 7, 5. If you add those all up, it's going to give you a total of 17. So also, the other thing that's interesting about a haiku that is Japanese poem, it traditionally evokes images of the natural world. So it gives you a feeling of serenity, perhaps a brook babbling, could be the snow falling, anything along the lines that give you a connection with nature. So here in my picture I showed you some cherry blossoms. And I'm going to create a haiku poem based on the blossoms. So I just want you to listen along to this and just see how I've created it, because of course you're going to be creating one yourself. So the ground is so hard. Let's make sure that fits the criteria of 5 syllables. The ground is so hard. Yeah, perfect. We're 5 syllables. And the next one, the people weep, tears so sad. This needs to be 7 syllables. Let's check it. The people weep, tears so sad. Absolutely, we have 7 syllables. Then the last one we need is 5 syllables. The tree blossoms anew. The tree blossoms anew. So there you go at 5. The word anew is 2 syllables. Anew. We all know that from 3rd, 4th grade, how we check for that. So there's my haiku, a combination of 5, 7, and 5, but a total of 17 syllables. And it is about nature, because it talks about the trees. So the ground is so hard, the people weep tears so sad, the tree blossoms anew. So my feeling with this poem is it gives a little bit of hope. Things are so difficult, so sad. However, something good hopefully will come from what we had to deal with. So what I'd like you to do here is I want you to go ahead and create your own haiku poem. And when you're finished with that, we'd like you to share it with a peer. And then we will come together as a class.